Okay, guys, I'm on page 7 of the math packet. This is the second part that had the B in the corner, so I'm on to number 7. This question is asking about temperatures and which one of these choices puts them in order from least to greatest. So remember with negative numbers that the bigger the number with the negative, actually the smaller the value it has because it moves farther to the left of 0. So the farthest number to the left of 0 would be -7. So that means it has the least value. So -7 is the smallest number. Next to that would be -2. And then on a number line, once we move from left to right and we finish with the negative numbers, we would be at 0. And then we would start counting the positive numbers. So 3 is the next number, and 11 is the largest or the greatest. So the choice that matches with that is letter I. For number 8, which of the following expressions correctly uses exponents to show prime factorization of 360? We really never did this. So if you were struggling with this, you were struggling rightfully. We did talk about factoring numbers, but we never used exponents to show it. So I will show you how to do it. You start with 360, and what we did is we had used factoring trees. And so we had picked just any two numbers that would multiply to make 360. So I'm just going to start with 6 and 60, because I know 6 times 6 is 36, and so 6 times 60 is 36 with that extra 0, 360. And then what you have to do is you have to keep factoring each number until you only have prime numbers. So for 6, it's pretty easy. It's just 2 times 3, and 2 and 3 are prime. So this part of the factor tree now is done. For 60, I'm going to split. I'm going to do 6 times 10. And then I have to continue because 6 and 10 are not prime numbers. 6, I can do what I did just over here. 6 is 2 times 3. And now this section is complete because 2 and 3 are prime numbers. And now I have to finish the 10. So for 10, I can multiply 2 times 5. And 2 and 5 are prime numbers. So now when I look at it, I have to see, okay, how many 2's do I have? I have 3. So I would have to multiply 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the 3rd power. The next number I have are the 3's, so how many? I have 2 3's, so that would be 3 to the 2nd power. 3 times 3 is 3 to the 2nd power. And then I have just 1 5, so times 5. And so the choice that matches with this is B, 2 to the 3rd power times 3 to the 2nd power times 5. For number 9, the expression d divided by t can be used to find the average speed of an object that travels the distance d in the time t. So you take the distance, divide it by the time, and that will tell you the speed of an object. So you just have to know d means the distance, t means the time. So if it travels 145 miles in 2.5 hours, what's the average speed? So you have to decide, well, which one is d, which one is distance, and which one is time? Well, obviously miles are the distance, hours are the time. So take 145, that's your d, that's your distance, divide it by 2.5 or 2.5, that's your time. So here's how you would do it. Remember, when you divide decimals, you have to take this number, this divisor on the outside, and make it a whole number. So you have to move the decimal one place to the right. In the number 145, even though we don't see the decimal, we know it's at the end. So we move it one place to the right, and then this empty space has to be filled with a 0. take the decimal, move it directly above, and that's where it's going to be placed in your answer. So 25 does not go into 1. It does not go into 14. It does go into 145. So I'm thinking, I know that there are 4 25s in 100. So one more. So if I have 5 of them, that would be 125. If I had changed this to 6 25s, or think 6 quarters, it would be $1.50. It would be 150, which would have been too high. So I subtract and I get 0 or 20, bring down the extra 0. So now how many 25s are in 200? Or ask yourself, how many quarters are in $2? And the answer is 8. 8 times 25 is 200. And then there's no remainder. So the average speed is 58 miles per hour. It's choice F. For number 10, which of the following expressions is equivalent to 6 times 5 plus 3x? So this is the distributive property. Whenever you see a number on the outside of the parentheses, you have to distribute it to all of the terms inside the parentheses. So remember, we had used these arrows to make sure that we distributed to each of the terms inside. So 6 times, this is 5, so 6 times 5 is 30. The plus stays the same. And then 6 times 3 is 18, so 6 times 3x is 18x. So the answer is choice C. For number 11, graph and label the point W. That's located at 4, -1. So remember, x is first, and x is going either left or right. The x-axis moves across horizontally. And the second number is the y coordinate. Y moves vertically up and down. So this says go to the right, go over to +4, and then go down to -1. So W would be right here. So that's it. I just graph and label. So there it is. Number 12, what are the coordinates of the point in quadrant 4 on the coordinate plane? So this is kind of 2 steps. The first thing you have to do is remember where quadrant 4 is. So this is just labeling. You start with positive numbers in this corner, 1, and then you go backwards around the coordinate plane counterclockwise. This is 2, 3, and 4. So the point in quadrant 4 is L, and the question asks you what are its coordinates. So again, find the x value first, move across, you go over, and it looks like here they're counting by 2s, so this must be 3 in between. So each box on this coordinate plane is 1. We're counting by 1s. So after 4, this would be 5, and then down to -4. So the coordinates are 5, -4.